Good afternoon and welcome back to Houston Real Estate Today, Houston's greatest hour of great information provided by great guests, and this show is no exception today. I'm Steve Levine, publisher of Real Estate Executive and Builder Architect magazines, and my pleasure to host this show each and every week. This is our 29th broadcast since we began in November of last year, and when we decided to do this show, we said, you know what, great guests that are experts in their subject provide great information, and they don't even need a host. So I don't know, I'm not sure why I'm here, but I'm here today to keep everybody in line. But we have a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the Houston real estate market in general, as we do every week, hence the name of the show. We're going to hear it not just from armchair quarterbacks, but experts in the area, and top producing realtors, usually from the pages and the cover of my Real Estate Executive magazine. We're going to talk a little about starting a career and some advice in real estate. We're going to talk about the Fight for Fair Appraisals Part 3 with Coach Dan Hart, been on our show twice before. And we're going to talk about the Boston Tea Party coming up in the middle of next week. And financial and mortgage update with my good friend and sponsor, Renee Sabatier with Urban Financial. So we've got a full show for you. You don't want to miss a second, particularly if you own a home and you think your taxes are unfair due to unfair appraisals. Believe me, you're right, and you're going to hear it all from Coach Dan on what you can do about it. But let's start with Richard Elkowitz from the cover of the November 2004 cover of Real Estate Executive magazine. He's a top agent of RE/MAX Westside, works with his wife Peggy and a terrific team. Known as a bow tie realtor, and he's a RE/MAX top producer and one of the partners in RE/MAX Westside. And we are so pleased to have you on the show, Richard.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
All right. Let's switch a little this way. What you got there, Richard?
Well, I've got to correct you on one thing, Steve. You said earlier that I was the hardest working man in real estate.
And you are. And you are.
Well, I have a plaque here that says you're not right.
Uh-oh.
This says Steve Levine, President Publisher, the hardest working man in real estate.
Oh my God!
And it's on acrylic, so you know it's got to be right.
Absolutely.
So Steve, here you are now officially the hardest working man in real estate.
What a guy! And coming from the hardest working man in real estate, I know you start your day at least 2 hours before I do. I know that. He's at the gym at 5 a.m. He's working out, gets to his office early, has breakfast, and he puts in a full day, and then goes plays baseball like a teenager. So he keeps up after his kids and grandsons, and he's an amazing guy. But let's get right to the meat of the subject matter today. Houston Real Estate Today, and Richard, what a pleasure again to have you on, and thank you for the kind words and the plaque that will go in my office. Richard, I understand you got in real estate by accident. Let's start there. How that happened?
My wife was working for a home builder reporter. And I was at a Christmas party, and she pointed to a couple of guys, and she claimed, bless her heart, she claimed that they were making a fortune, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I said, my word, if these guys can make that much money, so can I. So I left the real estate business, and I found out she was not quite telling me the truth. She meant well.
Yeah.
But that's how it all started.
But, most wives know it all. And then,
oh, she does.
And for sure, what direction you need to go. But she's been a strong support for your business and run the office and helping you build your team and your success in real estate. So I know Peggy's a great lady, and I'd listen to her more often.
Every chance I get.
Now, she's not here today. I was going to say that in front of her, but hopefully she'll be listening in. Well, you're called the bow tie realtor, and you've got a sharp-looking bow tie on today. Would you say that's pretty sharp, Coach?
Hey, sharp as an arrow.
That's it.
Well, Coach, you have a noose around your neck. I think I'd rather have the bow tie.
Everybody's got selective tie wear, and I didn't know I was supposed to. But bow tie realtor. Obviously, how did the bow tie realtor concept get started, Richard?
When I was a little kid, my mom let me skip school one day, and I went to Austin with her. She was working in some local politics. And I met a state representative by the name of Ralph Yarbrough, and he was the biggest man I had ever met in my life. He might have been 5'5". As far as I could tell, he was the biggest man I had ever met, and he was wearing a bow tie. And we got back on that bus to Houston, and I said, Mom, someday I'm going to be that guy with a bow tie. So That's where the bow tie came from.
And you're a big guy in real estate.
Huge.
And, a huge
All
guy in real
5'7"
estate.
of me.
And bow tie certainly is unique, as many realtors dress us for comfort, and some just in polo shirts. But I know you dress the occasion every day, always look sharp, and do great business. So there must be something in the bow tie that gives you part of the strength of character that you are.
My kids love seeing me on the billboards with that bow tie every time. It's hard for a teenager to face it when one of his buddies, when they're driving in the car, sees me in that bow tie. Hey, Daniel, that's your dad, isn't it, with that bow tie? He can sure bury his head in the steering wheel sometimes.
There you go. Well, you started out as a political science major at college, and nothing to do with real estate, or did it? Does that have anything to do with real estate? Has your college background helped you with your real estate career?
You know what I've noticed over the years, Steve? I have found from my home building days in sales and in real estate, it seems to me that some of the most successful realtors came from a social behavioral science background, whether they were more sensitive to people's needs in the first place, and that's why they became social behavioral science majors, or better listeners. It's just, I have found that it's made my being a social behavioral science major just has made me a better person, listening to people's needs and hearing what they have to say.
Certainly the realtors that have made the cover of our magazine, the one I've had an interview for the magazine and on the show, it's really just some good people doing the right thing and focusing on the attention of their clients and treating each client as if they're the only client they had.
I have found that the most successful realtors in this town put their clients first, and that's what it's all about.
As with any business should be, listen to your clients' needs and then help them achieve it. Well, Richard, tell me what recent real estate trends have you noticed going on in today's real estate market?
Well, there's no question about it, Steve. Property values are down and have dropped. Activity is brisk. I think the public's going to be really surprised as sales figures come out from the Houston Board of Realtors for May and June. It's extremely busy. People are buying houses. The prices are down, and they're getting good deals. You can go to some communities like Cinco Ranch. Prices probably have not dropped. The activity is extremely brisk, and their listings sell extremely fast. But in most of the neighborhoods outside the master plan communities, properties are down, but they're selling.
What neighborhoods does the Richard Elkwood's bow tie team cover? What parts of Houston do you take care of?
The bow tie team is everywhere, Steve. But from a listing standpoint, I typically have worked the Southwest area. I do list a lot of homes in Katy, but I list a lot of homes off of Highway 6. Bel Air, Bissonnette around there, and quite a few in Sugar Land too.
You still miss Bel Air, I'll bet. You played baseball for Bel Air High School, didn't you?
Is there any other school? I thought that was it.
What about Kincaid?
Oh, excuse me, Coach.
Kincaid.
You did have another baseball program somewhere.
Well, Richard, obviously it's pretty simple. You buy in a buyer's market, you sell in a seller's market, and we have a pretty brisk buyer's market because of the availability of product, both new and resale, and low interest rates. You can see that continuing for the next 6 months to a year?
Steve, it's just busy out there. People are looking for values. The demise of the subprime financing certainly had I think the market declined activity-wise in January and February as a result of that. But people are finding alternatives, whether they're going FHA or other type financial assistance programs. They're finding ways to buy houses.
Well, if it's a good time to buy a home, wouldn't it be a good time? It's also conversely a good time to sell your home.
Well,
Yeah.
sure. It's all, a lot of people, of course, have to sell. They're moving to other cities and being relocated. But for those who maybe have lost some value in their homes over the last number of months since the subprime market declined and all the other financial problems we're having, they're still finding they can still buy and find really good deals in other places. Builders have been real aggressive on pricing and offering amenities to the buyers. So I think it's a good time for anybody to buy or sell a house right now and take advantage of the low rates.
And typically, if I was one of your sellers and I said, should we start out high and come down low, or come down lower, see where we're at? What advice would you give me?
You mean sellers say something different than that?
No, well,
I thought that's what they were supposed to say. Well, it depends on the neighborhood. You list a house in some master plan communities, it might sell in a day 10,000 above list price. In other neighborhoods, sellers really need to understand, and that's the realtor's job, and just be frank with them that their values may be down, and if they really truly want to sell, they might have to price it more aggressively. I have a personal policy that I do, and I tell this to my sellers. If they want to list it higher, I certainly will. But they're going to know right up front that I don't think it's going to work unless lightning strikes, which it can sometimes, sure.
But it's best to price at a fair market value by doing a search through HAR on the comps.
Well, sure. The sellers are going to know what the values in the neighborhoods are, and a lot of people think that their homes are really good, maybe better than other homes that sold in the neighborhood, which is understandable. Everyone's proud of their home. But they just have to understand that there's a tremendous amount of properties on the market. A lot of them are foreclosures. They're priced very aggressively, and there's really only one way to compete with those homes. Your home probably looks better than theirs, but you still have to be, their home looks better than the foreclosure, but they still have to be priced aggressively.
And with the foreclosures, you don't know how somebody left it, and a lot of times they were not happy when they left. So it's kind of a buyer beware with a foreclosure, isn't it?
Oh, you can pretty much tell how they left it the moment you walk in the door. Some of them are pretty rough. But when you have buyers getting 2,000 square feet for $85,000, if that's what the foreclosure is, I have one closing like that in a few days. It's just a great deal. And if the house is a little dirty and it needs a new oven, smart buyers can actually look past that.
I've heard somebody on the show once said if you want to see how your home should be marketed, go see what the new home builders, how they're decorating, what those new homes look like, so you know how you bring yours up to standard. What would you recommend to a seller in today's market to help them sell their home faster? What are some things they could do?
You know, Steve, it is incredible what HGTV and some of those Flip This House and some of those shows have done. Those shows have made my job so much easier. Everybody already knows. They know about staging. They know what's going to work, how much money to spend. They've already been educated on this from the idiot box. They tell me.
I hear a little bit of fresh paint and landscaping out front does wonders for the desirability of the home and also for the sale. So, Richard, I understand that you received a large number of referrals. Was that a deliberate strategy on your part with the Bowtie team, or just, and how do you maintain that referral base?
Well, Steve, I've been very blessed for a long time. I do get a lot of referrals. The first thing, you have to offer a very high level of service, and I'm very proud of what we do. And because of that, if you offer that high level of service, people are going to talk about you. They're going to give other people your name. So you have to start from there. And you can't let them forget about you either. Just because you offer good service, you still need to be in top of the mind awareness. They still need to know you're out there. So I stay in contact with them by mailing out birthday cards, anniversary cards, just general phone calls to them now and then.
And it's just stay in contact with your clients and let them know you're there. And certainly the real value of what you do is the testimonials and referrals you get from your clients, and I know you get a lot of them. If you could turn back the clock, Richard, and start your real estate practice all over again, what would you do different, and what would you do the same?
Oh, I would change my name to Steve Levine and start a magazine and a radio show. Oh, I see what you mean. Steve, I think any new realtor would be wise to work by referral. When I first started, a very wise man told me to farm geographically. You pick this area of town, you become the expert in that area of town, and it does work. But geographical farming, which is important, is also extremely expensive. Bulk rate mail, having parties for people in the area, all the things every realtor knows how to do is very expensive. But if you work by referral, it's a lot less expensive. You're dealing with people who already know you, and they're only sending their best friends, clients, people like that to you. And I think if I could turn back the clock, I do a lot of that. I think I'm the master of it. But I think if I would have started earlier, that probably is the one thing I would have done sooner.
So you started your referral program a little bit earlier than you had.
Right.
And What else would you do differently?
Well, I really have, I don't know if I would change anything, Steve. I'll tell you what I might have done. I might have started farming river oaks, Piney Point, when I was 25, as opposed to other situations. But I've been very fortunate, very blessed, and I really wouldn't change a thing, other than my name to Steve Levine.
He's going to be on another show, I can tell, Connie. Well, Richard, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We're close to our first break time. Give us your email address and website and contact information one time.
My email address is richardelkowitz@westsiderealtors.com, or you can do try Elkie, E-L-K-I-E, at westsiderealtors.com.
Richard, pleasure having you on the show. We'll be back with more great information on Houston real estate today, so don't you go away.
That was the wrong email address.